Hello everyone, today I wanted to discuss the book, Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess. I want to give a brief overview of the structure of the book and then move on to a review of the book from my perspective of a 1000 rated chess player with only a few months of experience playing chess. The book starts out with basic fundamentals of chess, how to move the pieces, what a checkmate is, and how to checkmate. From then on, the book is basically a big book of puzzles. Bobby Fischer lays out various positions and asks whether you can checkmate in that position, and if you can, show the first move. He starts with back rank checkmates, moving on to defending back rank checkmates, displacing and removing defenders, attacks on enemy pawn cover, and a final chapter reviewing all the material covered. I'm going to show you a few of his positions so you can get an idea of the level of difficulty for a player like you. In the book, Bobby's puzzles start out easier and then gradually increase in complexity until they're more difficult, more sophisticated. Here's one of the easier puzzles. Bobby would ask you, can you checkmate in this position? And if you can, show the first move. The answer for this one's going to be no, because if we try and check here, he can either take with the rook or with the bishop. You can try and take again, but you get captured again. You run out of attacking pieces, and you can't mate in this position. Moving on to a little bit more difficult one, we've got, can we mate in this position? Well, notice how we've got the queen here. In this case, we can mate in this position because we have more attackers than he has defenders. It doesn't matter what you take with, either the queen or the rook will be fine. Eventually your opponent will run out and you'll be able to checkmate the king in the corner with no free squares to move to. Next up, we've got this one. This one gets a little bit more tricky because you can't just go take with or check with the queen right away. Because if you check with the queen right away, you're going to run out. The key to this one is you've got to remove this defender here first by taking with the rook. Once you take with the rook takes back, and now you have more attackers on the d-file than they have defenders. And you can back rank checkmate them here. Moving up another step in complexity, this one we can checkmate in, but there's a key first move. You gotta take there first. The reason being, if you try and take here with the pawn first, rook takes pawn, you try and take back with the queen, queen takes queen, there's no more checkmates run out. You can't go with the rook first either, because you go rook checks, rook takes, try and take with the pawn maybe, queen takes, and now there's no opportunity to checkmate anywhere. So the key first move is you've got to take rook first with your queen, sacrifice the queen, queen takes. Now there's also a second move that you have to do. You can't rush with the pawn, you have to go with the rook first. Check with the rook, queen takes, pawn takes queen, there you've got the checkmate. If you go with the rook first, with the pawn first, queen takes, rook checks, queen takes again, you've also run out of checkmate opportunities. Then you're basically just screwed. You can try and push the pawn, but you're down all your pieces. One more step up in complexity. Here we've got an idea where we try and attack this corner pawn. We attack the corner pawn, rook takes. Now we drag the rook all the way up here, checkmate them back here. Notice how this rook can't move back. If this rook moves back, they're in check from the bishop. This rook can move back, but they're only prolonging the game one extra move. So that's another checkmate variation that Bobby Fischer talks about. Lastly, we've got this position in which we cannot checkmate in. The reason being, if we try and take here, bishop takes. You can try again with the rook here, but either the knight can cover or the rook can cover. Either way, they're both covered by each other, so you cannot take and checkmate them in the corner. So now that you've gotten a feel for the level of difficulty of the problems yourself, I'm going to give my perspective on the book. For the price range, you can't go wrong. It's only $8 and you get plenty of puzzles. For the level of difficulty surrounding the problems, I give it a 5 out of 10. For my skill level at a 1000 rating, I found a lot of the problems really easy and I wasn't really challenged until the last couple of chapters of the book. With that being said, I still found the book helpful. For the explanations Bobby gives, I give him also a 5 out of 10. A lot of the times his explanations were either just a yes or a no, or maybe a short sentence. I had to go to chess.com a few times and analyze the game myself to figure out why what I chose was wrong. So for my overall rating of the book, I give it a 7 out of 10. I would highly recommend it to people newer in the chess game who are just getting started. Anyone over 1000, I would say leave the book alone and go on with your life. With that being said, thank you for watching, and I hope you found this review helpful in deciding whether or not you should buy this book.